Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, our air traffic controllers are doing a phenomenal job. Some of them are being forced into mandatory overtime, 6-day weeks. That's not sustainable. And it certainly doesn't help recruitment into some of the busiest areas of the country, particularly New York and others. We have to look at new ways to induce, fully qualified controllers to move there. We also have to facilitate the hiring of qualified people and their full certification. There is legislation, and I've spoken to the chairman about this. I'm trying to remember the number, introduced by Mr. Corbello and Mr. Maloney, H.R. 5292, which would help in the hiring process, particularly targeting veterans and otherwise experienced controllers to move on and get to work. So I would hope that we would take up that bill. I think it's a non-controversial bill. I'd suggest, since we're doing a lot of pretend legislation around here on the floor, maybe we should do some real legislation and put that bill through, before Congress embarks in yet another one of its long breaks in this year, which is more breaks than work. The issue is critical. Many people have been talking about this for years. We've seen this shortage, the aging of the workforce coming, and it's past time to do something about it. But despite all that, the air traffic controllers are doing such an extraordinary job that the number of air traffic control related flight delays actually decreased by 17.5% in the last 2 years. I think that's an extraordinary testimony to them and the work they're doing, but I think it's not sustainable without an adequate workforce. So I'm very worried that this will hurt our retention if we don't bring in some more help. The chairman also mentioned TSA. I have a bill on that. I recommend it to members of the committee. Every American is taxed every time they buy a ticket. And in its infinite wisdom, the Congress put through one of those really bad year-end budget deals written by Speaker Ryan and Patty Murray, so a bipartisan problem, which decided to divert $1.2 billion a year from security fees into the ether, so-called deficit reduction or some other part of government. To get enough TSA agents out there, according to the head of the union, would cost about 1/3 of the money that's being diverted. It's not right to tax people for something and then take the money away. So I would also recommend that. That does relate to our system and its efficiency. Unfortunately, it's no longer under the jurisdiction of this committee, but I would recommend it to my colleagues if they're concerned about that. With that, I look forward to hearing from the witnesses.